So the elusive quest for smoking cigars during the winter months. Hi, my name is Steve, and today I'm hoping you'll follow along with me as I take you through my approach, my journey to trying to look at options for enjoying one of my passions, cigars, during the cold. I'm going to take a look at what I can do within my garage. I have an attached garage. I've got a basic layout that I'll pull up on the screen here. And I've got room in front of my cars where there's some double doors going outside. And there's a little nook where I've got about a 5 foot by 5 foot space. And looking at these temporary ice shanties that you can pop up and collapse them during the summer and put them away and take them back out and set them up, I think will fit very well. Moving it into the garage, I can buy a cheaper, don't need all of the insulation. I just need something that's going to contain the smoke and contain the heat. But when I was thinking about that, you still have to do something with the smoke, something with the smell of the smoke. It's going to permeate even though it's in a tent. So I'm looking at some options of maybe an air purifier, maybe a way of venting it, but that's another thing you have to deal with if you're going to have this in your garage. So I'm going to take you through how I've approached this, what I'm going to be doing, take you through my steps, my initial setup, some changes, and how do I come up with a way to hopefully make this work. So with that, let's head out to the garage and let's start taking a look and getting things set up. Okay, so here we are out in my garage. Apologize for the noise and the sound quality. Using my DSLR camera, don't have my normal sound equipment to use for this. You'll hear some road noise, so we'll do the best we can. Wanted to take you through, as you saw in the layout that I showed, this is the upper area of my garage. I've got my cars out here in front of me, and I wanted to go through some of the equipment that I had, some that I purchased, but what I anticipate having inside the ice shelter for my smoking lounge. Back here is the shelter, so I haven't even set it up yet. It's going to be the first time. I'm going to do a lapse time video of me setting that up. I have a heater. This is a Doctor heater. Bought this a few years ago and haven't had a whole lot of use for it. But the nice thing about it is it has oscillation, it has temperature control, so you can set the temperature, it will turn on and off as needed. So I'm curious to see how this does with heating up the inside of the tent. I have a lawn chair, I have a table. I also purchased an air purifier. So this was the key for me if I was going to have this in my garage. I wanted to see, can I contain the smoke inside the tent, contain the heat inside the tent, and use an air purifier to clean the smoke and keep it from outside the rest of the garage. A few other things I purchased. This is like a PVC type of, I'll call it a flooring. This is going to go down on the floor because the ice shelter does not have a floor on it. So I am going to put this down instead of stepping on the cement. I'll have something to put my feet on and make it a little better. I do have some LED light strips, so these will plug in. I do have an outlet here that I'm going to run into a power outlet to plug things in. I'm going to string these hopefully along the top of the roof line, and that should give me lighting inside. So, next steps, I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. We're going to do a lapse time of me standing up the tent for the very first time. We'll see how big it is, get everything put inside, and we'll go from there. So in this part of the video, I have done my initial test, as you saw from some of the pictures, some of the elapsed time. It didn't quite meet my expectations. It worked, but not as well as I would like. So what I saw happening was when I was inside the ice shanty, the smoke I was exhaling from the cigar, the air purifier wasn't able to really keep up with it in real time. What was happening is the smoke was being drawn to where the air was coming out of the top of the purifier. So instead of the smoke being drawn in, shooting out the clean air, the smoke would go right on by, it would go right to the top, and it would just circulate within the tent. When you're in the tent smoking your cigar, that's not a good experience. Tons of smoke, you come out smelling, the tent still absorbs the smoke odors, and so it wasn't as effective as I wanted. So I'm going to try round 2 and see if I can do some improvements. I have no idea if this is going to work, but I figured I'm going to give it a try. So what I'm going to try instead is I am going to try to vent from the top of the humidifier where the fan is blowing out to see will it draw the smoke into the filter and the purifier. Then when I'm done having my cigar, the intent would be to take the outside vent off the top and just let the purifier run within the tent like it normally would. That way I can set it for an 8-hour timer, let it run overnight, and kind of see what I get in the morning. Okay, so proof of concept put together. Very crude, very rudimentary, but that's what a proof of concept is. If this actually works, I'll go back and do something on my 3D printer, I'll make something official, but I don't want to do a whole lot of work if this just completely fails in every way possible. But it is vented through into the hose using the parts and pieces that I had from the shipping that came with this. So we're going to turn the power on. I'm going to put it on high. We're going to put our vent on it and see if it's able to move the air through. Okay, so we're in. And I am absolutely, you can see what little hair I have, it is blowing. So this does effectively move the air. I feel good. We're going to see what happens. Let's go smoke a cigar. Well, hopefully the lighting's okay. We're back for round 2. I've got my setup. I've got the airflow coming out here, and I decided I'm not going to vent it outside yet. I just want to circulate it in, but I want to see if the smoke is going to gravitate towards the filter, and is this going to help in keeping the smoke a little bit calmer in the room. Nope, not taking the air in because I think I'm restricting the airflow. Well, I've tried 2 different air purifiers, a couple of different setups. I've tried venting out the top to prevent the smoke from getting caught into the fan, trying to draw the smoke into the filter. And after all these attempts, I have decided an air purifier is not the best solution for a cigar lounge tent. So these, I still believe air purifiers work. The problem is they're not a solution for smoke in a small confined space. They circulate the air and the smoke spread around more than it was getting drawn into the filter to do anything effective. So I am on to attempt number 3, and that will be this. And this is going to be a do-it-yourself exhaust fan using carbon filters, activated carbon filters, to try to draw the smoke out of the tent. I decided I have a 3D printer, so I wanted to do this myself. Usually I'll build my own objects and print them out, but I decided to take a look on Thingiverse and found this really cool setup that I thought was a great idea. Can use it as is. I'll have links to all of this stuff in the description down below, the 3D models, the air purifier, the tent, all the things I'm using. And what I did is I went out on Amazon and I purchased a fan. This is a 120 millimeter computer fan, but this one I purchased so I can plug it in and control the speed, because I want to make sure I've got enough airflow going through and enough CFM to pull the smoke and push it out of the venting pipe, the flexible pipe that I've got. Printed out these 3D models, and then I also purchased, these are activated carbon filters. Was much thinner than I expected when I purchased it, because I know you can get a little thicker ones, but I cut enough of them so that I'll have a stack of them. So essentially, I'm going to do a quick build of this. I'll show you the final product, and then we're going to make another attempt to see how this works out in the garage and see if attempt number 3 is any better. So there you have it. 3D printed. Essentially, on the one side, you have all the filters in this housing. I have the fan in the middle, and the fan is going to be blowing the air. So it's going to be pulling the air through the activated carbon filters. This on the front is where I will put the 4-inch hose over the top, vent it out the window. And I'm going to do 2 tests here. One, I'm hoping to see, does this draw the air out immediately, the smoke? Does it clean it or eliminate the odor to where I could just vent this out into my garage? Or is there still some lingering odors that I really am going to need to vent this outside of the garage? So with that, attempt 3, let's head out to the garage and have a cigar. So we've got one quick test here. Got a small cigar here. We're going to light it up, see if this exhausts anything out. See what happens. So this seems to be much better solution. The fan's probably not enough to completely take it out. But it absolutely takes in more smoke than what the purifier was doing. Might have to raise it up. We're back one more time. So I have done a little bit of a test with my do-it-yourself computer fan, 120 millimeter fan, 3D printed, and in the end this worked, but not enough power, not enough CFM to pull the air out. Tent was too big for something this small. So I have done a decision to spend a little more money and see if I could come up with the final solution to getting the smoke out of the tent. And I'm actually going to vent it out of the garage. So I do have a vent that I purchased. So this is a vent for your laundry room typically, where this is going to go on the outside of the garage. So I'm going to have to drill a hole for that. Not drill a hole, cut a hole for that. This is a 6-inch. I have my 6-inch flexible hose. This is 25 feet. I will probably end up cutting this. One portion of this will go in the tent, come out of the tent. The other will connect up to the vent going outside. And instead of a small fan like this, we've stepped up to a much larger fan like this. So this is an AC Infinity 6-inch inline duct fan. So inside of here There's a fan with the motor, and if you look at the CFM, which is the amount of airflow that a fan will push or pull, this computer fan, the 120 millimeter, was about 90 CFM, maybe 95, somewhere in that range. This, on its maximum setting, will be 400 CFM, something like 405 CFM. With the 6-inch, with this going into the tent, into the one end of the tube, this will pull the smoke out of the tent, through the fan, exhaust it out the garage, through the vent. And I felt it was time to step up, spend a little bit of money, and do this the right way. Now you can, if you don't have a good way to vent the hosing outside of your garage, if you don't want to cut a hole in the wall to put a vent like this, they also sell carbon filters that will attach either to the hose or directly to this ducted fan. All of this is purchased with my own money. Nobody's sponsoring this. Nobody's paying for any of this. So I went with AC Infinity because it was a very well-reviewed brand, a little bit more expensive, but also was supposed to be much quieter than a lot of the other cheaper models. So there's lots out there. I'll have links to this stuff all down below, but I'm going to start working on getting all of this set up and installed. I have one bonus item that I want to review and give you some of my thoughts on, and it's for eliminating the odors. So even though I've got it to now extract the smoke out, there's still going to be those lingering odors that can still escape out into the garage. And as I was looking at options, I decided to make a purchase of this. And this is a Moorer Ozone Generator. And a lot of debate online around, should you use an ozone generator? Are they safe for you? Health hazards? But the one thing that everyone agrees, they eliminate odor. They do work for that purpose. So do your own research. Make sure you are reading, watching videos, getting as much information as you can about whether an ozone generator is right for you or not. But for me, I was going to be out in the garage. So the tent I have is out in my garage. My garage is pretty much open. I don't have any drywall. The ceiling is open. You have the ridge vents going up to the top of the roof. There's gaps around some of the garage doors, so I don't have it airtight. Also, I'm going to be using this within the cigar tent. So I'm not going to be in the tent. You want to evacuate the area when this is running. And what I really liked about this unit for my purpose was that it's a very low dose of O3 that it generates, and it's meant to be used over a longer period of time. So when I'm done smoking my cigar, vented all the smoke out, I put this in the cigar tent, turn it on, and I go to bed. And I let this run overnight. And when I get up in the morning, I have a power strip that is Wi-Fi activated, so I can, on my tablet or my phone, I can turn the power off to this before I go out into the garage. I go into the garage, I can open up the tent, I can open up the windows, come back in the house, let it all air out, and I don't have to worry about anybody being exposed to the ozone. And so far, this has worked fantastic. And I have been very impressed with this device. But again, do your research. Not saying everyone should have this, but for certain scenarios, depending on your setup of your tent and your garage and the area and who's going to be around when you're running this. But it absolutely works to eliminate the smoke smell. Well, there you have it. My journey to try to create the best possible option for me to smoke cigars during cold weather and winter time. And at the moment, I believe I've achieved it. For me, I went with something that would fit in my garage. I had a space for it, so put up a pop-up tent. I had a ceramic heater. I ended up, though, working through different options to finally come up with the best solution, which was an inline ducted fan, and having it vented completely outside of my garage. And that extracts the smoke very quickly, makes it very pleasurable to sit in there and smoke a cigar and not have all this smoke building up in the room. And then as the bonus item, I purchased a Ozone Generator that works fantastic for eliminating any of those remaining odors from the smoke smell. And at this point, I'm very happy with the end results. So I will have links to everything down below that I went through in this video. If you've made an attempt at this yourself, would love to hear what it was your solution. Did you do an outside tent? Did you do an indoor in your garage tent? Did you build your own room for smoking cigars? Would love to hear your side of it. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope it helps you as you're looking for options to having a great cigar during the cold weather.